What's going on with y'all, man? It's your boy Sharp Reacts. Sharp from the 219. Back with another one, man. Jimmy High Roller dropped another banger. He been on a crazy run this year, y'all. Title is it possible to score 100 points in an NBA game? Me personally, I think somebody could do it. I don't know who. If I had to guess, I would probably say Wemby could do it. Luka could do it. Steph if he wanted to. Like, it's a few other people that could really do it, and like they have to really want to do it. But let's see, y'all. Y'all know Jimmy High Roller come with the charts, the stats. Y'all know I ain't gotta say this. I've said this too many times. Let's get into it.
History says yes, it's been done before. In 1962, when Wilt Chamberlain dropped 100 points on the New York Knicks.
Not real.
No footage of
this is
game,
not real. He did not, bro. We have not seen the footage. Somebody send me the footage. Somebody show me some footage of him doing that. Like, come on now.
Accounts of that night.
And I'm not taking none away from Wilt, but I'm just saying, like, bro, you played 70 years ago. I don't know how long it was. Like, come on.
And official records and photos and articles and even audio recording of the final quarter.
Back to Rutledge. Into Chamberlain.
Improbable? Yeah. The circumstances needed to have a night like this are just as rare as having the ability to pull off a night like this. But is it possible? It is. We have seen many players put together nights that were well on pace to setting records that were seemingly unbreakable. So if it can be done, and it has been done, why has no one reached the mythical 100-point threshold in nearly 65 years? Well, just the other night, we got a glimpse at what it would take and what kind of player it would take to score triple digits in a single game. The only thing standing between him and this Goliath of a point total is an extremely unlikely set of circumstances that may never happen again. Today's video on SeatGeek, including my get 10 at
I rock with you,
scored
Jimmy.
25 points in just the first quarter in their matchup against the Lakers. In fact, he didn't just score 25 in the first, he scored 25 points in just the first 8 minutes
my Lakers,
before
man.
checking out of the game with 4 minutes left in the quarter. Victor was out to a blistering pace with room to spare, and if there was any night for him to put the all-time scoring record in jeopardy, it was this night. The Lakers were sitting 4 of their 5 starters. Wemby was a complete mismatch for anyone the Lakers had available, and the Spurs were fresh off of 2 days of rest. A perfect storm of circumstances for a record-breaking game. Well, it wasn't quite perfect. After getting out to a historic start, Wemby wouldn't check back into the game for another 6 minutes of game time, and the Lakers made some much-needed adjustments in the second half, holding Victor to just 3 points in the third before checking out with 4 minutes left in the quarter, by which point the Spurs were blowing out the Lakers, and Wemby wouldn't see the court again for the rest of the game. His final stat line for the night, 40 points in just 26 minutes. Not quite the historic night some fans were hoping to see. Despite many factors falling in his favor, Wemby's 100-point recipe was missing a few key ingredients. For starters, he was on a minutes restriction, so his time on the court was limited. Breaking 100 means more than likely playing the entire game. The Spurs also blew out the Lakers, and that's a big no-no. You gotta keep the game close enough to even stay on the court. And the Lakers have a competent coach who made the necessary adjustments to slow Wemby down. Realistically, as fun as it is to imagine, Victor was never going to even approach 100 points on this night. Even after getting out to one of the hottest starts in NBA history, he was already off pace a couple minutes into the second quarter. But although he didn't come close to the triple-digit mark, what he did do was show us that it is within the realm of possibility. The talent to do it exists. So if it's possible, what would it take for a 100-point game to actually happen? Well, to answer this question, we first need to look back at the games that had a chance to break the record and why they didn't.
Damn. Hey, Jimmy, I don't know how you do it, bro, but you do it, bro. Like, this is crazy. Like this, the attention to detail, the editing is fire. The production is fire. Like,
Cat needs to be careful too with the
who's that?
offensive fouls.
He's having one of the best nights of his young career. He's 7 for 7. I'm assuming that's what
Cat.
you're talking about.
Shout out Cat.
Karl Anthony Towns showing you some diversity here with the lefty finish.
6 turnovers. Towns, pump fake, fires. Oh, again! 6 for 6.
It's the night or it's the position.
Towns.
Damn.
32. Towns, no hesitation. Swish! Oh, he's firing from Duluth.
On January 22nd, 2024, Karl Anthony Towns put together the best scoring performance in the first half of a game in NBA history. 44 points in just the first 2 quarters, which at first glance sounds like it's just behind pace of a 100-point game. But points do not come in a linear fashion. We don't know the exact pace of Wilt's 100-point games since there's no video of it and play-by-play data wouldn't exist for another 35 years. But we do know how many points Wilt had at the end of each quarter and how many points he had at key moments throughout the fourth quarter. During Wilt's 100-point game, he scored 41 points in the first half. Karl Anthony Towns was actually ahead of pace, and he stayed ahead of pace clear up until midway through the third quarter, a pace that he might have been able to keep.
I remember
if he
Cat
wasn't
doing this,
subbed out
y'all,
of the
but
game with 6
I
minutes
don't-
left in the
I don't
third
know how
and
he
wouldn't
didn't-
return for 4 minutes of game time. A brief period
How he didn't
with
get
0
80.
points on the board that
Cat should at
completely
least got
stalled out
80
his
this
scoring
game.
and killed his chances of a 100-point game. But unlike Cat, who managed to stay in the game long enough to have a chance clear into the third quarter,
And
a
this
lot of
game was
big scoring
close.
nights don't even get that far. On January 26, 2024, in a game against the Pacers, Devin Booker racked up 31 points with 11 minutes to go in the second quarter, which gave him 3 full quarters to score the other 69. Booker was about as far ahead of 100-point schedule as a player can get. At the rate he was going, 100 points.
Hey man, shout out Book. I forgot to name you at the beginning of the video. I should have damn near named you first, because out of everyone, Luka too, but you and Luka, D Mitch, Dame. Well, Dame is hurt, but y'all the only ones who done scored 70 points in an NBA game. Like that is crazy. Shout out Book.
Possible on this night. Until it wasn't. Unfortunately, Booker's first quarter barrage did not stop the Suns from maintaining their regular substitutions. And just 2 minutes into the second quarter, he got sent to the bench and would spend the next 7 minutes of game time watching from the sideline. Going into the half, Booker had 37 points and would never return to that.
Isn't that the
100-point pace.
record?
31 points in just the first 13 minutes. Another 31 points over the next 35 minutes.
Damn, he
An
still
early
wouldn't have
game
got it.
scoring outburst that trails only one game in the history of the NBA.
Wait, Clay.
As we go right to work, Kevin Love came to the ball
What did?
against Plumlee.
Wait, hold on. My bad, y'all. What did Clay score against the Pacers at half? How many points did he score at half?
Before Thanksgiving, as we go right to work, Kevin Love came to the ball against Plumlee. The fadeaway, Plumlee, good defender. Kevin Love knocks it down.
Making other guys beat him.
Right thrown out.
I miss that Cavs team, y'all.
Gave it
I
up.
miss
Love
it.
again. Are you
It's
serious?
peak NBA.
Just doing a lot of different.
Love again. Oh, come on. He's gone. Video game. Davis came to help and left Kevin Love open. Of course he made it. What else? Go back, turn her down. Faces up. Oh,
Good shot.
He's got 34. Not much you can do. Kevin Love. And one of the great performances in Cleveland basketball history.
On November 23rd, 2016, Kevin Love had the single greatest quarter in the league's history up to that point. During Wilt's 100-point night, he scored 23 points in the first quarter. In Kevin Love's historic first quarter, he scored 34 points, giving him 3 full quarters to put up another 66. How did his final 3 quarters play out? He didn't score another point until halfway through the third quarter, only put up 6 more shots for the remainder of the game, and finished with 40. Starting a game ahead of 100-point pace is extremely difficult. Maintaining that pace is nearly impossible. Teams adjust, players get tired, they shoot themselves into exhaustion. The law of averages brings them back down to earth. If we look at these all-time high scoring performances, many of them suffer from exactly this. A steep climb to 50, 60 points, and then a slow excruciating last push to about 70. Teams get prideful, their ego takes over. If not for adjustments and heightened defensive pressure, pride and ego alone will drive an opposing team to preventing a historic night at their expense. It gets to a point where they will gladly give someone else an open layup if it means they can stop the guy on the verge of a league record. You can see these moments of exhaustion, substitution, or even dry spells sprinkled throughout this chart, where their scoring completely flatlines. If a player wants to reach the coveted triple-digit mark, they cannot afford to let their foot off the gas for even a moment. It's a dilemma that has prevented many of the greatest scoring nights from becoming the greatest scoring night. Start the game out too hot, and you'll either tire yourself out, or the other team will hone in on you for the rest of the game like a pack of wolves. Get out to a slow start, and the defense won't have time to adjust, but no amount of scoring will get you back onto record-breaking pace. One of the crucial ingredients to Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game: he played every single minute of that game. In fact, outside of missing the final 8 minutes of a mid-season game due to a technical foul, Wilt played every minute of every game that season. So not only did he have the stamina to pull off a feat like this, an entire season of never seeing the bench primed
bro,
him
I'm
for
nothing.
a performance like this.
There's no way.
Wilt didn't get tired because he never got tired. Where was the pack of wolves that should have descended on him long before he hit 100? Well, there wasn't one. The Knicks starting center was out for the game because he was sick. Their backup center tried his best but fouled out of the game in just 20 minutes. And the only guy left to guard the best, most physically imposing player in the world was a scrawny 6'8" rookie playing in just his 57th career game. The last words uttered from the backup center before he fouled out of this infamous game: "Why don't you just give the guy 100 now and we'll all go home?" So what happens when a player doesn't work themselves into exhaustion? When they refuse to cool off, the defense is incapable of slowing them down, and they are only getting hotter as time goes along. Well, this brings us to the next ingredient of a 100-point game, and quite possibly the biggest reason why we may never see one again: the dreaded coach's decision. Now, one might think that the best example of a player approaching the most points in a single game is, of course, the second most points in a single game: Kobe Bryant's 81 in January of 2006. And although this final result comes closer to 100 than anyone else ever has, the details of this game tell a different story. On his way to 81 points, Kobe had 53 going into the fourth quarter. The one crucial factor that pushed him to his grand total of 81: a close game. The Lakers were only up by 6 points on the Raptors after 3 quarters. They needed Kobe to stay in this game and close it out. Now, when a player is scoring at an extraordinary rate, the result is usually a blowout. It is the paradox of big scoring nights and the fatal flaw in many potential triple-digit performances. The more points you score, the bigger the lead you build on the other team, the less likely you'll be in the game later to score more points. On this particular night, the Lakers were so bad that a whopping 81 from Kobe was somehow necessary to get the win. This is almost never the case. Just 1 month before his 81, Kobe had an even better scoring night against the Mavericks. On December 22nd, 2005, in a matchup against the Lakers, Dallas scored 61 points going into the fourth quarter. Kobe Bryant had 62 points by himself, single-handedly outscoring the Mavs and dropping 30 in the third quarter alone. Look at the pace of Kobe's 81 compared to his 62 through 3 quarters, and it is clear that this night was bound to be something even bigger. At the pace he was going, 100 points was possible if the Lakers weren't blowing the Mavericks out. A 34-point lead on the Mavs going into the fourth meant Kobe would spend the last quarter of the game on the bench, not scoring a single point for the rest of the game and erasing what could have been a record-setting performance. On this night, Kobe Bryant and the Lakers made the all-too-common mistake of playing too good. For every game that has the potential to reach 100 points comes a monumental blowout that will stop it in its tracks. On November 30th, 2019, in the midst of averaging 40...
Kobe could have had at least multiple 80-point games. We don't know. He could have probably scored 9. He could have got it. Damn. That's sad, bro. Damn, Phil Jackson.
Again,
I mean, I
James
get it.
Harden decided to take things up a notch and drop 60 in just 3 quarters against the Hawks. Harden was narrowly trailing 100
Prime
points.
Harden, Houston
During
Harden.
Wilt's 100-point game, he had 69 points going into the fourth.
New generation
A
don't know.
record-setting
Y'all
night
don't
within
know,
reach
bro.
for Harden against a Hawks team that didn't have the slightest clue on how to slow him down. The only problem was this: an absolute blowout of a game. By the start of the fourth quarter, the Rockets were up by 54 points. Putting Harden back into this game to chase the scoring record would have been an abomination. And so his final points in the third quarter would be his final points of the game, ending his point total for the night at 60. For all the admiration a player would receive for potentially reaching 100 points, the fallout for unapologetically chasing it would be far greater. This is the mistake Devin Booker and the Suns made back in 2017 during his historic night against the Celtics. About halfway through the fourth quarter of this game, Booker was sitting on 44 points, a career high for Booker up to that point, and an admirable effort despite the loss that was bound to follow. The Suns were down by 17, a loss all but conclusive at this point. By the end of this game, just 7 minutes later, Devin Booker had 70 points. How on earth did Booker turn a good scoring night into the 10th most points in a single game matter of...
This man scored 26 in 7 minutes. Damn.
By staying in a game that was out of reach, taking every shot at any conceivable opportunity, and shamelessly chasing points. A performance that was celebrated by his teammates and fans, but was ridiculed by everyone else. Because Devin Booker had broken one of the unwritten rules in basketball. The informal rule that a player is not allowed to be force-fed shots during garbage time of a blowout. And any attempt to do so, especially when chasing a record, will be void of any credit. But you also cannot stay in a game to chase numbers and pad your stats while up by so much that you have no reason to even play the final minutes of a game. Which means despite a player scoring more points than he ever has, the game must be close enough to justify scoring more. And this is the final and most consequential ingredient to a 100-point game: breaking the unwritten rules. Leading up to Wilt's 100-point game, the most he had ever scored in a single night was 78, and it took him 3 overtimes to pull it off. Even for Wilt, 100 points was a complete anomaly resulting from circumstances manufactured by him and his team. During Wilt's record-breaking game, the Warriors were beating the Knicks by 19 going into the fourth. By today's standards, this would result in a star player getting benched for the majority of the final quarter, if not the remainder of the game. This was not the case for Wilt. Not only did he play the entirety of the fourth quarter in a 22-point blowout win, the sole focus of his entire team was to get him to 100. During halftime of this game, the Warriors' point guard at the time, Guy Rogers, insisted everyone get the ball to Wilt for the rest of the game to see how many points he could get. By the start of the quarter, the Warriors fed Wilt the ball on every single possession and just stood around until he scored. When he missed, their job was to grab the offensive rebound and give it back to him. In a last-ditch effort to stop Wilt from scoring 100, the Knicks began to intentionally run the clock out and waste as much time as possible on offense, while down by 20. At that point, conceding the loss was a much better fate than getting 100 dropped on their heads. Unfortunately, they didn't prevent either one of those. To combat this tactic, Warriors head coach Frank McGuire began intentionally fouling the Knicks to stop the clock and get possession of the ball as fast as he could to get it back to Wilt. It was a quarter of basketball that resembled something closer to the Harlem Globetrotters than it did an actual NBA game.
So, more of the story is, if he did score 100 points, quote unquote, if he did, it was very fluky. His teammates was helping bro out. Which makes sense. It makes sense.
Entire fourth quarter of this game was 12 minutes of intentionally trying to get one guy as many points as humanly possible. And not only was everyone on board with it, they celebrated it. At one point, one of Wilt's teammates even said he planned on intentionally missing his second free throw at the end of the game in hopes that Chamberlain might rebound it and get to 102 points. Instead, with just under a minute left, Wilt scored his 100th point. The game was put to a halt for 9 minutes as the arena celebrated. And when the game resumed, Wilt didn't touch the ball for the remaining 46 seconds of game time because, quote, 100 sounded better than 102. Where most players had to sit out entire quarters, get pulled from games because they were up by too much, or simply follow the unwritten rules of sportsmanship even at the cost of a potential record-breaking night, Wilt and the Warriors did none of those things. Instead, they went out of their way to manufacture a point total in ways that would never happen in today's game. 100 points in a single game is possible, but the circumstances required to have such a game, to justify one player taking that many shots and doing so without infringing on the integrity of the game, is so narrow that we may never see it happen again. And there is no greater proof of this than what happened on December 5th, 2016.
Shout out Clay, Prime Clay. I don't know how he didn't go for 80 or 70 in this game. I remember this game, y'all. I don't know how he didn't go for at least 85 points. At least 85 to 90 points.
A pretty look from overhead. And it's a pretty pass. Klay Thompson's getting aggressive.
Shout out Teague. Shout out Lance.
By the way, 4 and 8 now. Just took it from Monte. Klay went to the three-point line and dropped in another one. Didn't choose to take it. Oh, Klay's feeling it. Another three. And Wilt.
Damn.
Has 40 in the first half. Klay's three. There it is. Warriors are having fun. Klay for three. More than Durant. More than Curry.
In what would go down as quite possibly the greatest display of shooting in NBA history, on December 5th, 2016, Klay Thompson scored 60 points on the Indiana Pacers in just 3 quarters. But it wasn't simply 3 full quarters of action. Klay Thompson scored all 60 of his points in just 29 minutes on the court. A performance unlike anything
I
the
didn't know
NBA
that.
had seen since Wilt's 100. Because not only did Klay start the game on 100-point pace, despite getting subbed out of the game for an entire 6-minute stretch between the first and the second quarter,
Yo,
Klay managed to
what? I did
stay
not
on
know that.
100-point pace longer than anyone else ever has. During Wilt's 100-point game, he scored
60 in 29 minutes.
Play. On Klay's historic night, he scored 2.07 points per minute. Now, we don't know the exact number of points Wilt scored in the minutes leading up to the fourth quarter, but based on accounts of that game, by the time Klay hit 60 points and was pulled to the bench, Wilt had 64 points. If there was ever a time we could have witnessed a player score 100 points with our own
Steve
eyes,
Kerr,
this
you be
was the game.
tripping,
Klay was on
G.
fire. He was keeping his pace, and he was
But
doing
I
so
get
on
it.
ridiculous
You know, he's your
efficiency.
star,
The
one of your
Warriors had a
star
system
players. You don't want to
tailor-made
get him
get
hurt,
shooters
but
open and
bro,
counter double and triple teams.
this
And
man
the
could have
Pacers
broke the
had
record.
No answer for him. And then this happened.
60 for Klay Thompson.
You had 60 in 3 quarters. What do you think would have happened if you had the chance to play in the fourth?
Who knows? Hopefully, yeah, I don't know, Raj. That's a great question, but who knows?
A final substitution with a minute and a half remaining in the third quarter. After sinking his 60th point of the game, Warriors head coach Steve Kerr subbed Klay out of the game. He didn't take another shot, he didn't play another minute, and he didn't score another point. But not only did Klay not get to play the entire game, he didn't even get to play 3 full quarters. After the matchup, some fans speculated if he could have hit 70 if he wasn't pulled from the game. Kevin Durant, Klay's teammate at the time, said he could have scored 80, but at the increasingly rapid pace that he was scoring, Klay's final point total could have, and probably would have, been far more than that. On paper, Klay Thompson scored the 70th most points in an NBA game on that night. But in reality, this is about as close as anyone has ever gotten, and may ever get, to a 100-point game.
Damn, Jimmy dropped a banger. Wow. I knew, okay, obviously. I mean, the game was so long ago, but like, I remember he has the most points in a quarter. And he has the most points in the halftime too. Or does Kobe have it? I don't even know, y'all. 60 points in 29 minutes is insane. That's when you playing 2K on rookie on my career. And that's man, Clay, you a legend. I don't care what nobody's saying about you now or whatever. You're a legend, bro. Hey, man. Like and sub, Jimmy, if you ever seeing this, bro. And hey, keep coming with the content, bro. Please keep coming with the content, bro. Like you don't miss, bro. You can't be messed with, bro.